audio on demand from Vision Christian Media.
Exploring faith and the future. Neil Johnson and Bible teacher Dr. Camille Majdali.
Each day we've been working our way through very important foundational teachings of the Christian Church. Let's get more focused today on Hebrews chapter 6, Camille, where there are 6 elements, 6 foundational doctrines of the Christian Church that are identified by the writer to the Hebrews. The 6th one is a doctrine of eternal judgment. Sounds pretty severe.
Well, it depends on what side of the fence you're on, Neil. I actually found there's 3 judgments in the New Testament. Now, of course, in the Old Testament, there were all kinds of judgments. There was judgment on Korah, sons of Korah who were rebelling against Moses. There were the judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah. There is even a judgment on Ananias and Sapphira in the book of Acts chapter 5. But for our purposes, there are 3 New Testament judgments. The first judgment is what is called the judgment seat of Christ. This is for believers. And you can read about it in several passages, but one reference is 2 Corinthians 5, verse 10. 2 Corinthians 5:10, for we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that everyone may receive the things done in his body according to that he hath done, whether it be good or bad. If you're a believer that did absolutely nothing for God, all your works will be like wood, hay, and stubble. Fire comes, and you have nothing left. However, you will still be saved because salvation is a free gift. But if you're a believer that labored for the Lord and labored fruitfully, your works will be like silver and gold and rubies, and it will withstand all the fire. And it's like God is using this judgment to say thank you for laboring for the kingdom. It's not a judgment to condemnation or to, as it were, salvation. That issue already was dealt with when we received Christ. It is a rewards for what is done in the body. Second judgment is Christ coming on his throne and judging the nations. This is Matthew 25, and separating them like the sheep and the goats. So it is, shall we call it an international judgment or a national judgment? And then the final one is called the Great White Throne Judgment, which is described in Revelation chapter 20. This is for the remainder of the dead. It says the books will be opened. They will be judged according to their works, and whoso is not found in the book of life will be cast into the lake of fire. So, in summary, the New Testament speaks of 3 judgments. One is the judgment seat of Christ. That's for believers. Then there's the judgment of the nations, and that's Matthew 25. And then there's the great white throne judgment for the remainder of the dead, and that is in Revelation chapter 20.
The question here is, ought we as believers, as followers of Christ, aware that these judgments are coming, ought we be fearful of those days? How do you feel about emotional ways that we might respond to these understandings about the judgments of God?
Look, we're not to live in fear or terror per se. We should always be living in the fear of the Lord. We should remember Romans 14, I believe in its verse 12. Now then, every one of us will have to give account of himself to God. When we are accountable and well-behaved, when we live in the fear of the Lord, then we can face God in the end with confidence and not with shame.
Faith and the Future with Neil Johnson and Dr. Camille Majdali from Teach All Nations. Find articles, videos and podcasts from Dr. Camille, plus today's and other episodes of Faith and the Future in the Vision app or at vision.org.au.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.